Hey there, Amplifiers. Thanks for tuning in. In today's modern world, there are so many different people out there who are trying to find clarity. They're trying to find their inner peace. They're trying to get centered. And you may have heard the rise of the therapist. It's becoming more of the trend. It's becoming more of something that's common. But where do the therapists go when they need some guidance and some help? They have a heart, and maybe they want to help their clients out, but maybe they need a little bit of guidance in the financial area to make sure that they can take their impact and extend it to the world. Our guest today is an amplifier who really knows her stuff when it comes to working with therapists. She's the CEO and founder of Green Oak Accounting, and I'd like to welcome to Growth Amplifiers, Julie Harris.
Hey, Kenny, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, staring down the hurricane that's coming our way, but overall, very blessed to be where I'm at and to have this conversation with you.
Yeah. Good to be with you.
Now, one of the things that I love doing when we're connecting with new people, introducing them to our audience, is kind of get an idea of how did you come to be to this point today? In particular, she's like, well, you invited me to the podcast, dude.
Right? No, I know. Yeah.
In particular, your story of choosing to get involved in this type of industry.
Right. Working with therapists. So I'm an accountant by trade, right? That is my love language is numbers. I think the numbers in a business tell a story, and my superpower is seeing the story within the numbers, right? Interpreting that in a way that makes sense to business owners. And so when I started my accounting firm, I started as a generalist, like many of us do, and just kind of took whatever client was coming through the door, right? That's a very normal thing, in part because I did not know how to market myself. So I was like, well, I'm just going to put up a profile and see what happens. And so what ended up happening at the end of year one is a mishmash of really, really lovely clients that I enjoyed, but all kinds of different industries. There were like restaurants and construction companies and just a little bit of everything. And while I enjoy the diversification there and like, oh, this is a new problem to solve or a new challenge. Once I started really focusing on scaling my business, I realized that it would not be sustainable for us. I realized that I needed to kind of hone in on what we were going to be doing so that it could be duplicatable. And I actually have a friend who's a fellow accountant who said, I wanted to McDonaldize my firm, right? That's how she called it. And really that's what I wanted as well. Like if we are working with 18 different industries, we cannot have a set standard for what we're offering. But if we work within one industry, we can be really intentional on the services that we're offering to that industry. And what I realized is that we could do even better work by getting to know that industry in a way that is much deeper. I would even say like better than they know themselves in a lot of ways. We can serve that industry better. And so at that point, I had a small team. We started looking at who are the clients that we really enjoy working with. And therapists is the one that came up. By accident, we had gained a therapist client along the way. We did good work. That therapist started to refer other therapists to us. And so we looked up and said like, okay, we have 5 or 6 of these clients. We really, really enjoy them. And there are levers that we can pull in those businesses to really make a difference. So let's lean in on focus there. And that's kind of where it all started. And since then, I mean, we've worked with thousands of therapy practice owners. We've seen under the hood, and we really, really know what works and what doesn't financially in a therapy practice. And so that's what brought us to this point where my team and I are the industry experts in this space, and we know what's going on before therapists do sometimes.
And you literally wrote the book on it. You're a certified Profit First professional, the author of Profit First Professionals for Therapists. And so you doubled down and made that commitment. And a lot of people are kind of afraid to make that commitment in their business of niching because it's counterintuitive. We think if we're going to focus a niche, it's going to work against us. We're going to cut off so many opportunities. What was the light bulb moment for you that had you overcome that block and said, this is a no-brainer. I need to do it this way?
I had that fear for some time myself, where in the very beginning, our website was a little bit more generic still, even when we started niching down, that it wasn't as clear that it we had a services for therapists page probably, but it didn't say like, this is all we do. We would
Mhm.
still sometimes take on referrals that were non-therapy. And I remember the day that I made the decision, okay, we're switching the website over, but I was really worried about what our existing clients were going to think. That was my big worry of like, first of all, your existing clients are rarely going to your website is what I discovered, because when we did make the switch, not only did no one say anything, when months later they did, it was really positive. They said something like, oh, hey, Julie, I noticed that you guys are focusing in on therapists now. That's really neat. Congratulations. And that was it. Even though they were kind of in a very unrelated niche, they were just congratulatory. And they did probably eventually ask like, hey, does that mean you're going to stop working with us? We're like, no, we're keeping on our existing clients. We're just no longer taking clients that are in other industries. And that was good enough for them. And we never actually talked about it again. But what that did for our ideal client is when they went to our website, they were really able to see themselves in a very specific way, right? It was speaking directly to them, and that just automatically increased the number of consultations that we were scheduling, and then the conversions in that process as well.
That is awesome. And therapists, they have that good heart.
Mm-hmm.
They help other people clear their blocks, but they also are people, so they also have blocks. What is one of the top challenges that therapists tend to have that they're blocked from, that you as a guide, as an advisor, can help them break through? And how do
Yeah.
you help them work through that? I'm just curious.
Well, so therapists are highly educated, right? At least a master's degree, if not a PhD. So highly educated. However, in those programs, there are 0 hours of business management. So typically they've not taken a single accounting course, not a single business course. And so the financial side of the practice can often be very overwhelming. And it's not because they're it's just something that they are not taught to do, but
Mm-hmm.
also it feels very counterintuitive, right? Where they're in the business to help people, and in a lot of ways, like making money feels a little bit selfish to a lot of therapists. We're like, oh, I'm in it to help people, but I also need to care about money, and that feels a little bit weird. And so one of the reasons that my team and I enjoy working with therapists is because I tend to hire people who have the heart of a teacher, right? And that was true back then. That's very intentional now, but we like that relationship. So it's not just a drive-by accounting where they kind of throw us their paperwork and we do everything. Like there's an educational component to what we do as well, because
Mm-hmm.
that's what we enjoy. And so we want therapists to be empowered to understand the numbers. What does it mean? That doesn't mean that they're taking it over, right? We're doing the accounting for them. But I just believe very deeply that as a business owner, you need to know what's going on in your business. You should have access. You should have clarity. You should be able to look at reports on a regular basis, and you should have someone who's an industry expert to reach out to when you have questions. And I feel the same way about, like, they should have an attorney who knows who they can reach out to when they have questions, right? They need to build their kind of team of advisors. And on the accounting side, that would be us. And so that's kind of one area that tends to be a big blind spot, but we can help therapists feel comfortable about the financial side of their business, about taxes. Like if you understand what's going on, it's not actually all that scary at all.
What I'm hearing and from what you're saying is that you're not, number one, you're not a check the box sort of accounting team, and I didn't
Mm-hmm.
get that impression in the first place. You do
Yeah.
have CFO services and help people kind of like transform their practice into something that is
Mm-hmm.
financially stable. And you're hinted at something there, but just checking in, because I think it's really important. When I got started as an advisor myself, more in the marketing and sales space, I was thinking, me give strategy and tool, it worky. But what I
Right.
didn't realize is how much of the mindset effort that I needed to work with someone to shift, because if they have a bad framing with money, with taking money, if they think of that as a negative thing, then that's, believe you can, believe you can't, either way, you're right.
Yeah.
It'll work against you. So I'm curious how, as you're working with therapists and maybe having them shift their mindset, what have you found to be effective to help them go from being kind of the way they've done things before to taking new actions to achieve new results?
Yeah, I think in therapy you would call it exposure therapy, where the tagline on the back of my book is every practice deserves to be profitable. And really everything that we do at my accounting firm is from that lens, right? Where we just believe, hey, this is our core belief. Every practice deserves to to be profitable, yours, theirs, everyone, right? And having a profitable business doesn't take anything away from anyone else. And so everything we do with that lens, and in part because it is in service to everyone around you to have a profitable business. Yes, of course, it's of service to the business owner, right? Like you deserve to live, you deserve to put food on the table, put gas in the car, like all those things are necessary. And those things allow you to then go out and take care of your clinicians, if you have a team, of your clients, of your community. If there's no money and if your business fails, that is in service to no one. And so we talk about it early, we talk about it often, but I also think having that accounting relationship with us for a lot of therapists is a safe space, right? Where you can say like, hey, I'm worried about money and there's not really anyone else I can talk to about this, right? My spouse is not a business owner. They don't get it. I don't want to scare my team. And so this is a safe space for them to come and say, hey, I'm worried, or there's this big thing coming up that feels scary, or COVID, the pandemic definitely messed up a lot of things and created a lot of opportunity, but was very scary as well. But it's also a really great place for our clients to celebrate their wins too, right? When we have a lot of clients who every year reach that $1 million in annual revenue for the first time. That's really exciting, but it's also not something that you can go to Facebook and say like, hey, everyone, my business made $1 million this year. It's not a great look, but also
It could.
business owners understand, but like non-business owners don't get, that doesn't mean there's $1 million in my pocket
Right.
today. That's not how it works. The business made a lot of money. That doesn't necessarily translate to a lot of money in your pocket, but it's like, it's nice to have someone to celebrate that with and say, yes, you did it. Keep going. We see you. We see your effort. And you've got this.
So you've helped people achieve some great milestones.
Yeah.
What is something you've achieved that you could toot your own horn with that just gives you some pride and some energy and you'll be like, this was a good time?
Well, I'm really proud of what the team and I have done in the mental health space. We started off, as a smaller team wanting to just help the helpers, right? I am an accountant. I cannot do what therapists do. And we've seen over the last several years, like just how important mental health can be. So that's kind of how we see our role. We're helping the helpers. And that has made a big difference in this industry. So I am really proud of how we have niched and how we continue to help this industry. We're also very generous with our information. We hold very little back. Like all my secrets are in the book because I want therapists to have the information to go out and have a profitable practice. Now, they often will come to us for implementation and we will gladly do that with them. But I just am a big believer that if you put good out in the world, it will come back to you tenfold. But as another step to that, we've been in this space now. I've had my own firm for almost 9 years. We've been niched down for about 7 years. We are now having a big impact on the discourse in this industry when it comes to the financial side of business. And we are a thought leader in that space. And I'm really proud of that because it's changing the discussion and we're getting to put new ideas out there. And that's a really exciting thing to me.
It's cool to see that you're making a difference in the world. That's the concept of a growth amplifier. So whether you know it or not, you're a growth amplifier. You're amplifying the world in that unique passion that other people have.
Yeah.
Now, we have victories. We also have some things that run us into the wall, some challenges that we've overcome. Can you think of a challenge that you ran into that was like, oh, this was hard. I didn't expect that. And then maybe how you came through that.
I think the hardest part of being a business owner is the people. Just generally speaking, I've made my own share of hiring mistakes, right? It'd be easy if it didn't involve people, and yet people are what allow us to amplify the message as well. So I've made plenty of mistakes, but plenty of wins there as well. So one of the challenges is as the business grows, you have to become a different person because that's what the business needs of you. You have to become a different kind of leader. So always kind of working on yourself, improving yourself to become who the business needs of you.
It's an important part. We get into the business with one knowledge and expertise, but then as the business grows, we've got to grow and evolve to be able to achieve higher levels. Great point. Sounds like you're well studied. You probably read different books. You've got the great book, Profit First, Profit First for Therapists.
Profit First for Therapists, yeah.
And are there any other books that you read that have made an impression on you that you think it would be worth sharing?
There's so many. I have a stack right behind me. Let's see. The E-Myth is definitely one of the oldie but goodies that is always, at the top of a reading list for a business owner, as far as like working on the business versus working in the business, right? And that's when, after reading that, is when I really started to think about, okay, how do we standardize the service offering so that it becomes repeatable? Who, not how. Is one of my favorites. Ben Sullivan, or Ben Hardy. Hardy and Sullivan are the two last names. Blanking on the first names, but where like as you grow the business, I have a team of more than 30 now, and so we're always as business owners, we tend to just want to like roll up our sleeves and get in the weeds of like, how am I going to do this? And that kind of repositions that question to not how are you going to do this, like who can do this, who on the team, or who could you add to the team to do this really important work. And it's just kind of a really nice mindset shift. So those are the two that kind of come to mind off the top of my head.
Now, if someone's listening in and maybe they're a therapist, or maybe they know of a therapist because like, hey, I know a therapist, who or where should they direct that person? How could they make an introduction? What is a good first step? Where should they go?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I think the book is a great place to begin. Profit First for Therapists. I really did put, all the teachings from many, many years of working with therapists in that book. And then second to that would be greenoakaccounting.com. We have a lot of resources available there. We have an amazing blog as well. You can always book a free consultation for any therapist who's interested in exploring our services. It is a super low pressure, just are we a good fit for each other? And so that is available. You can meet with someone from my team and see if it's a good fit.
Awesome. Very cool. And I'm sure that could make a great stocking stuffer. If you have a therapist, that's an awesome gift to give to your therapist. Or if you know someone who does have one, that's a great gift to share. They would be like, this is going to make their year. All right. So as we're wrapping up here, what is something that you've learned on your journey that would be helpful for others on theirs? It doesn't have to be related to anything financial. It could be if you'd like, but just something life lesson that you'd care to share.
You don't have to be perfect to be successful. None of us are perfect. We're all humans. And so we will make mistakes, but we get up and we keep going the next day. And ultimately, it's just the effort that will make you successful.
Thank you very much, Julie. It's really been a pleasure. I totally have a heart for therapists and the difference that they make in the world, and the fact that you're helping them succeed and bring their skills to more people. That's an amplifier in its true nature. So thank you so much for your time, for sharing your insights, and for being the amplifier you are.
Thanks, Kenny. Great to see you.
And for those who are tuned in, take one idea, even if it's just sharing the book, take one idea and put it into action, because it's not what we know, it's the actions that we take, and new results require new actions. Thank you so much. Until next time, keep on amplifying. To show your support, take a moment to amplify this message by sharing it online. To connect with me or gain more business growth insights, visit www.growthamplifiers.com. Thank you for your support.